Me versus you and you know they picking. Cheap and expensive, you know the difference. You know that it's hitting, you know what it's giving. Hair, nails, bare. I can survive in the coldest conditions. Hoes very low, they told me they spinning. This is wash, soap in the dishes.
Welcome back to the channel for another video. Today we're going to be talking about Brenay and Tim once again. And I know y'all probably asking, why are we still talking about them? Well, that is because they decided to go on the Dr.Phil show and tell their side of the story once again.
Here we go again.
I guess the Tim Brenay interview wasn't enough for them, so this is kind of like an infidelity tour. That's what it's giving. And it's just them going on these different platforms and telling their truth about everything that had went down, the lies, who was wrong, who was right, who's the villain, who's not the villain, even though they should have been in the courts telling the truth, and maybe the judgment would have went a little different. Anyway, let's go get into this tea because it's so much to talk about. The show opens up with, you know, the segment and explaining it. In Brenay's eyes, she feels like this is a modern day love story online and she's not a homewrecker. I don't understand how this could be a modern day love story. She just slow. I don't know how this is a modern day love story that is online when you took your best friend's husband. She sued you for $1.75 million for alienation of affection and criminal conversation. That don't sound like no love story to me. It sounds like a horror movie and I don't want to be a part of it. She doesn't want to admit that she's a homewrecker. Obviously, if she says she is one, then she would have to just accept the fact that the public knows that her and Tim are indeed having an affair, and she wants us to believe the words that come out of her mouth versus what all came out in court. That woman is a homewrecker. No matter how she tried to spin it, it's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If you had to sneak around with that man while he was with his wife, you were indeed having an affair. Even when he cheated before with the other lady, him and his wife stayed together. He stayed with his wife, worked it out, and was a family man. It's just when he got with you, I don't know what you did to him, if you put the voodoo on him or if you put it on him just that good, that he up and left his wife and his family to start a new life with you. He left his kids behind. I really don't like the fact that she is trying to hone in on the fact that their marriage was over. They had been separated before. This is not the first time, it's the second, but it's the last time that this ever would have happened. At the point they started their affair, even though they was having financial issues within the marriage, they were still married. They were still working on their relationship. They didn't file for divorce. They didn't legally file to be separated. They didn't move out the house. All of that. Oh, they were already separated and on the brinks of divorce from you and Tim's point of view at this time. And also, if you're not the homewrecker, and this was the second but the last time that him cheating on Akira, doesn't that mean you're the reason as to why their marriage ended? She's not listening to herself when she says certain things. Or Dr.Phil let Brenay get into the nitty-gritty of it all. He wanted to gather all of the facts that came out in court just so we can get a baseline of what happened, why it happened, when it happened, and then he would let her go in and add what she wants to add or her rebuttals to certain things. I am so happy he keen on getting the facts first, because her and Tim are the type of people who like to control the narrative. So if you don't put your foot down about, hey, this is what we're going to do and this is how we're going to do it, you're going to try to find ways to control the narrative and do things how they want to do it and what makes them look good. Let's get into the facts. I typed down a lot of things, so I will be looking at my computer that's right here. The facts are Brenay was married to Devin and Tim was married to Akira. Legally married. They wasn't separated. They were legally married to two people who wasn't each other. So in the eyes of the law, they had an extramarital affair. She keeps saying, well, we didn't have an affair. We didn't do anything until after everybody was legally separated. She kept on that legally word out. For Brenay, an affair is a sexual relationship between two people, one or both of whom are married to or in a long-term relationship with someone else. Y'all had an affair. Be a woman, admit your wrongdoings, accept your consequences, and just move on silently. Her whole point was her honing in on the fact that they didn't do anything until a couple months after Tim and Akira legally separated, because Brenay and Devin legally separated first. No matter how she tries to spin it, and I'm gonna stand on this, they had an affair with each other. They betrayed their partners. Devin is Tim's cousin. You betrayed your cousin and you betrayed your wife. Y'all was married for 5 years. Y'all was together about 4-ish years. years, all because you and this woman decided to sneak around and creep in the sheets. The moral of the story is they had an affair, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. No matter how her and Tim tried to spin it, no matter how much they say Akira gave them permission to be together, either way it go, in the eyes of the law, you were wrong. In the interview, Dr. Phil asked her a question about the inappropriate videos. We know that it was 3 videos that came out in court. When she first started to answer this question, she was about to say supposedly, but then she caught herself and was like, yeah, it was inappropriate videos.
Don't you have videos in his marital home? Yes, I did.
See, she was about to lie, but she had to catch herself in mid-lie because it is documented proof in the court proceedings that she indeed had made these inappropriate videos. You can't say supposedly when it's in fact a thing. It's video proof of it. And not only were the videos inappropriate, it was also taken in Tim and Akira's marital home. Why are these videos such a thing if y'all didn't have anything going on until after y'all had both legally separated from y'all spouses? It shouldn't even be a thing if y'all didn't have anything going on. She states that it was 2 inappropriate videos that was put out in court. It wasn't 2, it was in fact 3 videos. The first video she remembers, she said it was a lot of gibberish going on because she was drunk. She doesn't drink, she's not an alcoholic. So she decided to grab Tim's phone and record a video on there. I ain't never been drunk enough to grab my best friend's man's phone and record a video of me, let alone even have a conversation with the nigga. Unless it's a group conversation, I'm not about to pull my best friend's man to the side and we just have a separate conversation. I'm not doing that. It's all about respect, and obviously they didn't respect Akira nor Devin. But yeah, so the only part she remembers from the first video was she can't wait to be Mrs. Montague, which she is now. She literally said that in the interview.
I was under the influence and I took Tim's phone and I created a video of myself talking gibberish in the video. Well, that was one. It was inappropriate, absolutely. What were you saying? If I can recall, I couldn't wait to be Mrs. Montague, which I am now. It was a lot of like, oh, I love you.
Which I don't think that's the prize, or that's not the gotcha moment that you think it is, because that shows that everything that's happened was definitely premeditated and y'all was in fact having an affair. Because no person who isn't sleeping with a man is going to say, I can't wait to be the Mrs. last name. We're not going to say that. So obviously at the time of the video, that whole thing proves that y'all in fact had an affair, you dummy.
Absolutely disgusting, by the way.
Also in that video, she states, and she can't remember, is that she would give him the sun, the stars, the moon, the world, the solar system if she could. Whatever he wants, she got it, baby.
These type of videos. That was what I said in the video. About Tara's husband. Yes, about Tim. While you were staying at her house. Correct.
Second video that she remembers was she was in the bathroom brushing her teeth. Tim comes up behind her. She says she does a little dance in front of him.
The second video was I was in the bathroom filming myself brushing my teeth. Tim came behind me and I did a little dance, and that was the end of that video.
She did not do a little dance in front of him. She decided to twerk on that man in his house. Now, the third video that was played in court that she obviously didn't want to mention because, once again, it further proves that y'all was having an affair, you dummy. The video is her and Tim laid up, I believe, on the couch in Akira and Tim's marital home. She also claims that her and Tim are high school sweethearts. I don't know if you would consider them high school sweethearts because they dated freshman year for a year, and after that they went on to date other people. So I don't think they're high school sweethearts, but y'all could be the judge of that. But in her eyes, you know, that's her man, that's her man, that's her man. Dr. Phil brings Tim out to the stage. The first question asked was he ever Brenay's manager? They both said no to him being her manager or ever saying he was her manager. It was a lie. Brenay said that Tim was her manager because people started to question her as to why he was always around. She came out and said, hey, this is my social media manager. I don't know no social media manager that is in the forefront of the content. Typically they do everything on the back end. He asked Tim, do he have a job? Tim says he is a personal trainer and he sells fitness plans. That man ain't got no job, at least not no real job. I believe he worked at a gym at one point in time, so it's possible he was a fitness trainer at the gym. But as far as him having clients, and promoting this fitness plan he said he got. We the people ain't see none. Another reason why I know Tim ain't got no real job is because one, Brenay is not gonna let that man out of her sights for too dang long. If they be on FaceTime all day and all night while being in the same house in 2 separate rooms, do you think she would let him leave out of the house and go work a 8 to 10 hour shift alone? Especially when most jobs you can't even be on your phone. And then two, if she can't be there all day, it's not gonna work. So he ain't got no real job. Now, he did state that the relationship between him and Akira was very toxic, and everything that they went through, Brenay was there to see all of the toxic moments and had to play mediator at some points of these little arguments and fights that they had. From the outside looking in, it looks like obviously every time y'all got into an argument, Brenay was taking notes, learning what to do, what not to do, what triggers you, what makes you mad. It's like she was taking notes. Obviously, as a woman who's trying to take a man from another woman, that's what you do. You take notes. Everything that she do wrong, put it in the back of your little head. You be like, okay, this is what I know not to do. He doesn't like when she does this, so I won't do this. It's all about learning your competition. He kept telling us how toxic it was. If it was so toxic, why you just didn't leave before the Brenay affair happened? He doesn't really have an answer for that. Dr. Phil asks, why did he marry Akira? He was a bum, and out of convenience for himself, he decided to marry Akira so he could live in his parents' house rent-free. Tim is an opportunist who is looking for the easy way out, especially since he grew up struggling and going without. These type of men are dangerous because they will play the long game with women. Prime example with Akira. He stayed with Akira until Brenay came along, flaunting her money. She didn't have no kids. She didn't have really anything that tied her down. Her saying she was gonna give him the world. It all played into why he left Akira and his kids so easily. He took the easy way out. The same thing he did to his wife, it is a high chance that he would do the same to you. Dr. Phil ended up asking him, okay, so you have 2 kids with her. He tells us the ages. He was like, okay, so why have kids with somebody who you considered as a roommate? What I'm about to say is the epitome of a loser. Loser! Tim basically tries to tell us that Akira trapped him with their first child together. His reasoning as to why he's like alluding to this is because after they got done having sex, he left out the room, came back. She was on a headstand, propped up against the headboard, trying to make sure, you know, the little things reached the eggs. At that point, she didn't get pregnant and she wanted to see if she could get pregnant. He's insinuating that she trapped him with the first child.
The first child, and I'm not going to go into too much detail about that, but, her and I were intimate, and I exited the room, came back in, and she was sitting upside down. Said that up to that point, she didn't get pregnant, so she wanted to see if she would get pregnant that way. So he didn't mean to get pregnant, no.
Now, the second child story is even wilder because he is somewhat insinuating that the second kid might not be his.
The second was a complete surprise. Like, she fell at some place, had to go to the doctor, they were going to do x-ray, they were like, "Name, you're pregnant." At this time, I was living on campus, so she fell down and got pregnant. I hated when that felt.
So that's how they found out she was pregnant. Obviously, that's kind of confusing because did you have sex with her? Did you not? If she did that the first time, what happened the second time? He was like, well, you know, I was 2 hours away at college and I would only come home for the weekend. So I really don't know when she got pregnant. He's trying to say that she was probably sneaking around with another man. Tim is a loser.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Brenay feels as though Akira is picking at her. She says the reason why she feels like she's getting picked at is because allegedly he has cheated before multiple times. Mind you, we only found out about one other woman, and that's the same woman they always mention. I messed up, y'all. Tim cheated 3 times. One was with the woman from college. The second one was with Brenay's twin sister, Corinne. And then the third time is with Brenay. Brenay and Tim do not acknowledge the infidelity with Corinne because obviously that is weird. You are now married to somebody who was sleeping with your twin sister. So you're telling us with a straight face that the man that you are now married to and so happy to flaunt is known as a serial cheater, and you're happy because he did that with his first wife and he probably ain't gonna do it with you.
You done lost your damn mind.
The longer you let Brenay and Tim talk, the more they catch themselves up. Because at the beginning of the interview, she said he only cheated on Akira once before. How it went from that to him now being a serial cheater. Dr. Phil asked, hey, how many times have you cheated? And he was like, well, you know, I really wasn't cheating. I was texting, entertaining other women. So it was like emotionally cheating. And so he was like, okay, so was it under 20 times, under 10 times? How many times was it? At first, Tim says it was under 20 times. Brenay snapped that neck real fast, looked at him. It was like, you know what? It was really under 10. It was less than 10.
Less than 20. Less than 20? Less than 10, actually. Less than 10? Yes. Yeah, no. I didn't sleep with anyone during the course of me and hers marriage.
Then he decides to try to double back on the point that him and Akira was separated because he lived on his college campus, which was 2 hours away from where Akira and their kids lived at. Y'all weren't legally separated. You lived on campus because you were a football player at a college. Most football players live on campus. Y'all were living apart due to your schooling situation. And even when you had the 2 hour distance, you never slept with any of those other girls. What about Brenay made you decide to cross that line? I know I said this in my last video, but I'm going to say this again. The reason why the main focal point is on Brenay instead of Tim, it is because Brenay decided to put the affair online to rub it in Akira's face. And with her doing that, a lot of women could relate to what Brenay was putting Akira through because they have went through the same thing. When you do this type of stuff, you're stomping on women who have been in these types of situations before. And I don't think Brenay realized that that was her downfall. With Akira winning this case, it made them feel vindicated because it's like, well, I didn't win in my situation, but this woman won in her situation. So it's like a win-win situation. So now it's out there to the public, like, if you live in these certain states, hey, you might want to be careful of what you do. The reason why we don't get on Tim is because he's a bum, literally, an opportunist, a piece of who's looking for the next come up. Plus, if she would have never posted half of the stuff, we would have known nothing about this situation. If she would have just kept quiet, let everything dealt with off of camera, and then pop out with him, even though people would still talk about her, we wouldn't have video evidence to go on TikTok and scroll and find. I personally do not agree with y'all sending Brenay threads because it's never that serious. Is she a Jezebel? Of course. Is she a bad person? 100%. She's a bad person, but she doesn't deserve for people to tell her to unalive herself. But then again, how could we be sad and try to give her grace for all of the threats she's receiving when this is the same woman asked in court about how she feels about Akira and her kids allegedly receiving threats as well? She's like, oh, okay, well, I get them too. So she don't really see the big point of it. She wants to be the victim and she doesn't want us to see Akira as the real victim. You can't ask the people to give you grace when the woman you have been taunting for the last year or two, you didn't give her the same grace. You can't expect to be giving grace when you don't give it. And then this heifer gonna have the nerve to say, well, y'all be giving the victims grace.
I just wish that people gave me enough grace that they give the victims in stories.
Why are we putting it in quotations? Victims are victims. Even if you feel like they're not the victim, the matter of the fact is Akira is the victim, you're the villain. Her and Tim feel like everything that comes out of everybody else's mouth whose story doesn't align with their story is lies. Everybody can't be lying about the same thing. If everybody has similar or the same story about both of y'all and y'all the only two, I would assume y'all two are the liars. I personally feel like both her and Tim should feel bad about Akira receiving threats, because if Brenay would have never put this out on the internet, she wouldn't have been publicly embarrassed, one, and then two, she wouldn't be receiving threats because of the people who support Brenay. And honestly, this affair is the catalyst for all of the damage that has been done to Devin, Akira, Brenay's family, the kids, anybody else who has been affected or who's been in close proximity to all the parties involved. The facts are, you infiltrated this woman's life, became her best friend, took the information she was giving you about her marital problems, put it in your back pocket, used it when you were ready to use it, and took this woman's husband away from her and her kids. Tim, as the interview went on, kept proving to us how he is a piece of shit. he acknowledged his kids as Akira and the kids, not my kids, not our kids. I would have took my kids because you probably don't want to be associated with her even though they are your kids. But you saying the kids as if you're that far removed from their life. Are you that far removed from your own kids' life that you can't claim ownership over them? Tim does get a lot of hate, but because Brenay has the platform, she exposed the affair, she put everything out on the internet. All of her hate overpowers the hate that Tim gets from the internet. In my personal opinion, I don't feel like Brenay regretted anything that she did. She says that she regret posting her and Tim immediately after everything, but she didn't. Her agenda was to soft launch with Tim, and if the crowd received it well, they were going to do a full pop out as them being a couple, which led to them doing couples content, having a couples TikTok, a couples YouTube channel. Even though later down the line they did go on and create the YouTube and the TikTok, it didn't work out the same way she probably had planned. It's because now both of y'all are the most hated people on TikTok because of how y'all did y'all spouses and how Tim is a piece of towards his kids and is damn near a deadbeat. When Tim left his wife and his kids, he became a deadbeat, spent $90 on the kids, bought them 2 outfits in the time of him and Akira being legally separated for like a year and a half or so. You didn't get on his about him still being an active father, attentive father towards his kids. No, you encouraged it because that means you get all of the time you want with Tim. As a woman, especially a woman who wants to have kids, you don't go about things like that in such a way. And it got to the point where he was such a deadbeat, Akira had to put him on child support. He's going back to court to get the child support reduced because he doesn't have the funds. But him and Brenay have the funds to take trips. Well, Brenay has the funds. Actually, Tim probably don't have the damn funds. Another thing with Brenay and Tim, they keep saying that the videos that they posted was out of context. For the most part, it is very rare for the internet to be wrong and spin narratives about people. She wants us to accept that her and Tim are tethered. I don't know what world she lives in that we, the people on the internet, are going to just stand by her. Girl, that's not gonna happen. You want validation from the internet, a bunch of people you do not know and you don't care about. Why do you want us to accept you and Tim's relationship? Now, when y'all are cool, both parents gave you permission to post their children. Once the trust is broken, you betrayed that woman, she has the right to be like, I don't want you to post my kids no more. He do stuff because he know it would trigger Akira. He does things because he likes the feeling of women fighting over him. It boosts his ego up. I don't know who needs a $1.75 million lesson, but Brenay, baby, this is not the way you learn lessons. You decided to go into court, represent yourself when you were being sued for $3 million, and you decided to experiment with representing yourself. Even with this lesson that she learned, most people wouldn't even have gotten to the point of being sued because they would have moved smarter about it. Even if they did get to the point of being sued, they would have got a lawyer to help them out because the case is winnable. It's not about the money, Brenay. It's about the betrayal that happened. You infiltrated this woman's life, like I said earlier, became her friend. Not only her friend, but y'all became best friends, hung out together. Well, you, your ex-husband, her and her ex-husband were all hanging together as couples do. Her kids were calling you auntie. Now they are confused because you want them to call you stepmama or mama. That is confusing for 4 and 6 year olds. It's a hard thing to wrap their minds around. You knew that Akira didn't know that you and Tim used to date back in high school. Obviously, because no woman in her right mind would let you come around if she knew the history that y'all had. Now, everything that she went through is no longer her problem, but is now your problem. And she keeps saying, oh, they sued me for money. They sued me to ruin my reputation, built my platform up, and they knew I had money. Tim's mother, Tamika, who is your newfound mother-in-law, told Akira to sue you and basically take you for everything you got. You should take that up with your mother-in-law because if she never would have told Akira to sue you, Akira probably would have never sued you. And then it's not, you didn't make it any better because you decided to flaunt the relationship and try to trigger her in any way, shape, or form. They went back to, oh, well, Akira gave us consent to be together, and Brenay gave proof to Dr. Phil that Akira gave them the okay to being in a relationship. Dr. Phil said that she gave him didn't look like proof. It looked like she set y'all up for a test and y'all failed. Like she acknowledged the affair and basically said, hey, y'all failed the test. That is not saying I give you consent to be together. She keeps saying, well, Akira gave me Tim. Why would she give her husband away to a woman she considered to be a best friend who was married to Tim's cousin? If the marriage was over and she knew it was no coming back, why not just divorce him? Why did she say she had to give him to you? That don't even make sense. If the marriage was over, why did she consider going to counseling when everything hit the fan? And Tim decided he didn't want to go to counseling and he wanted to be with Brenay. Also, she talking about some, Akira said, I want you to be with him and I know you would take care of my kids. I know my kids would be safe with you. Brenay wouldn't even be able to watch my damn pinky toe, let alone my kids. Dr. Phil said that what Akira did was very magnanimous to have these talks with her husband, giving him away to Brenay. Now, if you don't know what magnanimous is, it is generous or forgiving, especially towards a rival or less powerful person. Shady comments. We love the shadiness. Then also, which doesn't make sense, if she knew the marriage was over, why did she go through with the lawsuit after all of these said conversations that y'all had? Tim, if you've never loved that woman, why, when she set you free, did you cry and was confused as to why she was letting you go? You should have been happy when you said she gave y'all consent and it was never any love in the relationship. The longer you let them talk, the more they give away. They want us to believe that Akira told them she found Tim's wife, Brenay, even though Tim and Akira were still legally married. But Brenay is the wife that she found for him. Please leave God up out of it. Please leave Big G-O-D out of this. You don't need to be a part of y'all foolishness. I'm talking about something. God sent Brenay for him because they always find their way back to each other. How y'all always find your way back to each other when the only way you got back into Tim's life was by marrying his cousin Devon? She doesn't believe she embarrassed Akira, which, girl, you did embarrass that woman. It went from you recording all four of y'all going on double dates, hanging out, then recording videos of you and Akira hanging out, to you posted more videos of you and Tim hanging out, to the point where Devon and Akira are no longer in the picture, and now you and Tim are a couple, even though you said that y'all didn't do anything while him and Akira was married. That means every time Brenay posts him, people are gonna be like, oh, Tim wasn't married to Akira. Akira is Tim's ex-wife. Brenay stole her best friend's husband. That's embarrassing. People associate Akira with this scandal. That is embarrassing. They keep saying that they didn't do anything romantic. She didn't have any romantic feelings for him, even though she has always had love for him. They didn't do anything until after him and Akira were legally separated. So where did this random connection come from if y'all weren't doing anything while they were still together and he was living in the marital home, even though you recorded 3 videos up in this woman's house?
Out of pocket for that shit.
One video talking something, you can't wait to be Mrs. Montague, and you are Mrs. Montague at this point. Then the other video, you up there twerking on him. And then the third video, y'all up there laid up. So you telling us y'all never had an affair, y'all never did anything. These feelings just randomly popped up when y'all both randomly decided to separate from y'all spouses, get divorces, and then somehow get together. That don't sound suspicious at all.
I mean, what the fuck? Can I live?
The final thoughts, Dr. Phil definitely was clocking their tea at the end of the interview. She didn't fall in love with Tim until after he was legally separated from Akira. And Dr. Phil was like, girl, that woman husband, you was in love with that woman husband. And she's telling me something, yeah, Tim. I fell in love with Tim. They keep forgetting that Devin was also a part of this equation. They keep telling us how Akira gave them consent. Akira did this, Akira did that. What did Devin do? Did Devin give y'all consent as well? What is going on here? I'm just so confused. If you know you don't want to be with your husband, wife, or your partner anymore, get a divorce. Leave them. It's okay to leave and start over. But don't drag somebody along in nonsense when you don't want to really be there. I completely forgot to put this in when I was just talking about Brenay at the beginning of the video, so I'm going to put it here now. January of 2024, she put Tim down as her emergency contact. She listed him as her boyfriend. She claims when she originally signed the lease, she didn't have an emergency contact. So when Tim moved in with her around the fall time, she updated the lease and added him as the emergency contact. She really thinks we are stupid because leasing office keeps all copies of your lease agreements and give you copies so you can have. Even if she did update it, it would have had the updated date on it and not the date of the original lease. That's what companies do to cover themselves. So she's claiming they got together on July 6, 2024. And he supposedly moved in the fall, but their videos of them being together and him acting like he moved in and lived with her was this in February timeframe. This proves to us that her and Tim, in fact, were dating before him and Akira legally were separated and they had an affair. And this is just the proof in the pudding. Hopefully this is the last we hear of them until all of the court proceedings and court cases are closed. But it is a possibility that they might or might not go on the Steve Wilkos show. He did invite all 4 parties to come on his show. So that's Devin, Akira, Brenay, and Tim to come on his show, take a lie detector test so they can get the truth out there. It's really mostly for Brenay and Tim, but he also invited the other 2 because they also are part of the situation. Before you leave, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Click that bell so you get notified when I upload for you guys. Hype up this video so YouTube could push it out. All of my social medias will be linked in the description bar down below. I'll see you guys in my next video.
I can survive in the coldest conditions. Hoes very low, they told me they spin. This is wash, soap in the dishes. I apply pressure like boa constrictors. One bitch, two bitch, old bitch, new bitch. None of y'all bitches not gon' do shit.